Hey y'all! Welcome back to my channel. I'm an Amsterdam-based writer and photographer who loves exploring the world and sharing my adventures with you. In this video, join me for a day trip to the Spanish seaside town of Salobreña. We started hiking up the steep, winding streets of the old town, which revealed centuries of history at every turn. This charming area was filled with colorful, textured doors, each with their own unique character. I love spotting the terrace gardens, bougainvillea, and succulents that adorn the buildings. The old town is built on a rugged hill and crowned by a Moorish fortress that dates back to the 13th century. It's set 100 meters above sea level, so we had a long hike up in the hot Spanish sun. Needless to say, we were quite winded by the time we got to enter the fortress. But it was all worth it when we reached the very top and had an incredible view that stretched from the Sierra Nevada mountains to the Mediterranean Sea. The castle has 3 different levels, and we were totally blown away by the scenery. In front of us, lush green fruit orchards stretched out towards the deep blue sea. And since Saray's outfit matched perfectly, I thought this was a nice moment to take portraits with the last 2 frames of Kodak Gold in my Rolleiflex. While wandering around, we learned that Salobreña's fortress has an expansive history. In the 15th century, it was a summer residence for the Nasrid dynasty monarchs. This was the last of the Muslim dynasties to rule Spain, and you can see the Arabic influence throughout the entire region of Andalusia. In the 20th century, the castle hosted cultural events, and local rumors claim that a lion once lived here in the 1980s. After exploring the castle, we were ready to head down to the beach. There was so much to see, I kept getting lost in the tiny details. Along our walk, I kept discovering these unique tiles on the door frames, but I couldn't figure out what they meant. So if you have a clue, let me know. But before we start our photo walk through the old town, it's time to load some film. Today, I'm shooting a mix of film and digital using my Rolleiflex 2.8F and my Fuji XT5. They're totally different formats, so switching between the 2 cameras was a fun challenge. I was so excited to use a medium format roll of Kodak Ektar 100 for the first time during this trip to Spain. Even though I love photographing Amsterdam, it's often so cloudy and overcast that I end up needing to use higher speed film to balance out the low light. So this trip was a fun chance to test out using a lower ISO film, which is perfect to capture the stunning Spanish sun and vibrant colors. The whitewashed buildings were covered with many shades of green plants and bright pops of colorful flowers. If you know me, then you already know how much I love bougainvillea. We stumbled upon this little house with an adorable courtyard garden, and I could totally see myself living here. We made our way through this alluring old town along narrow stone paths and alleyways. At the bottom of the hill, we reached the modern promenade. This area reminded me of the coastal towns I grew up visiting in Florida. The lush hibiscus actually made me a little bit homesick. Finally, we made it to the beach. Funny enough, in anticipation of grainy sand, I actually packed my camera really thoroughly because, hey, you can't be too careful. But it was a delightful surprise to discover a pebble beach instead. By now, it was peak afternoon and time for a break. We stopped for lunch at one of the beachside restaurants grilling fresh seafood on site. After lunch, I was eager to capture seaside photos and colorful umbrellas. Salobreña has 2 main beaches separated by a prominent rock formation. We chose the quieter side. It was a chill beach with families soaking up the sun, locals fishing off the rocks, and swimming in the shimmering sea. The Rolleiflex has a square format, so sometimes it takes me a moment to get the composition just right. I loved watching this peaceful fisherman. Of course, we also couldn't resist a swim, followed by a sun-soaked nap on the pebbled shore. The light glistened beautifully over the water. It was such a serene afternoon that my heart sank a little bit knowing we'd eventually have to leave. As dusk settled in, we got one last look at the castle, glowing in the golden light of the setting sun. I'm so inspired by places where the mountains meet the sea, and I'm really grateful to have this colorful set of photos to remember our visit. If you'd like to support my channel, you can purchase them in my new print shop. It's linked in the description. Salobreña left a lasting impression for both of us. This seaside town is a photographer's dream, and honestly, the only downside was having just one day to explore. Thanks for coming along with me to discover Salobreña. I hope you enjoyed our journey. You can find more details about this trip on my blog. Let me know if you have any tips for traveling to Spain. I'd love to visit again soon and bring you along. Stay tuned for more stories from our trip to Andalusia. See you next time!